when we think about radio, what's the goal? To get as many people as possible to listen and to keep them listening, right? Ever since 1901, when Marconi invented the radio, the whole industry has been trying to figure out, how do we get people to tune in rather than tune out? I mean, what do you do when a commercial comes on the radio? Boop, you're gone sometimes, right? What do you do when a DJ starts talking on the radio? No, don't answer that. I do not want to know the answer to that question. And before you laugh too hard at that, be warned, the very same thing can happen to you in business, or, I don't know, hypothetically, when you're calling someone as part of a membership drive for the Greater Fort Worth Builders Association. But the really good news about today is a lot of the same ways that we get people to listen to the radio station, they are going to work for you in this membership drive. And your results are going to improve just by doing a few simple little things. You ready to giddy up? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to giddy up. All right, here we go. Simple thing number one, you do you. And by that, I mean, you got to be authentic, because people will smoke you out in a split second if you're not. Now, as you may be able to tell by the way I talk, I'm a Southern girl, born and raised in Arkansas. I went to school in Mississippi, and now I've lived in Texas for about 25 years. As you can see, I have got a horse, I got a dog, I got a truck, and I play country music on the radio. Well, back in my 20s, I was chasing the radio dream, and I got so excited when I got my first big break in radio. I got a call from a pop radio station out in San Diego, California, big top 20 market. So I accept the job, I move out there, everything's going okay. And then first week, my boss calls me in. This is the program director. And he says, well, I'm really happy you're here. There's just one thing. I'm going to need you to take some accent reduction lessons. Accent reduction. Okay, first of all, I don't have an accent. You're the one with the accent, right? Who here thinks I have an accent? All right, good. I'm so glad you agree with me. So here I'm thinking, all right, you hired me to talk on the radio, but you don't like the way I talk? And he said, well, we like your personality and your energy, but we want you to sound more like a Californian. That's a red flag right there on so many levels, right? But I went off to these accent reduction lessons, and I had no idea what this was. Little lady opens the door, dressed all in black. Her hair's in a bun, and she says, hello, how are you? Well, it turns out what this lady actually did, she is she teaches English as a second language, and apparently no one told her that Arkansas is actually in the United States. But I did end up working with her, and I did learn how to reduce my accent when I think about it. But here's the kicker. It didn't work on the radio. You know why? Because I was so focused on how I was talking and trying to sound like somebody else that I wasn't able to be myself. Somehow in there, I lost my personality, and I wasn't being real. I wasn't being authentic. And let me tell you, that right there is the kiss of death, whether you are on the radio or you're in business. So both radio listeners and your membership prospects, they can tell in about 2 seconds whether you're being real. So you've got to remember to be authentic, because you're awesome being what is truly you. Now, we talk about you do you. So let's talk about who you are. Now, what I know about you is you're all in the building industry or a business related to the building industry. In fact, let me know a little bit more. Everybody will go to the chat window for me, and I want you to type 2 things. I want you to tell me what it is your company does, and then what is the specific job that you do for them? What's your position? What's your job title? So it's what your company does and what you do for them. Okay, this is helpful. Diane, she works in developing. She is the president. Heather is a builder. She's the general manager. Joey manufactures windows. He does sales for them, wholesale plumbing, appliances. Okay, so this is fantastic. Well, guess what? The fact that you are picking up the phone and you're calling somebody you don't know to try and get new members for the Greater Fort Worth Builders Association, that doesn't mean that you're checking yourself and your personality at the door and you've found some bad plaid jacket and turned into some fast-talking used car salesman. No, you are still Leanne, the successful general manager. You're still Cody Wilson, who works for an insulation manufacturer in sales and product development. You're those people. You're successful. You know what you're talking about, and you can relate to the people you're calling. Now, I want you to imagine you're getting 2 phone calls. Which call would get your attention more? Hey, Chris, I'm a volunteer with the Greater Fort Worth Business Association, and I wanted to see if you wanted to sign up. Or, you being you, hey, Chris, this is Cody Wilson, and I am in sales and product development over with the XYZ company. Yeah, in Haltom City. I think not too far from where you guys are, where you're headquartered. Yeah. South part of Haltom City. In fact, now that I think about it, didn't my company work with your company, Big Time Builders, on a project a while back, maybe for Acme Business? Yes, the office building. How you doing? Well, I am also a member of the Greater Fort Worth Builders Association. You heard of us? Yeah. Well, I tell you, they have been great for me as a builder. And off you go. So which call is going to keep you more interested? Number 1 or number 2? Number 2. That's right. It's a peer-to-peer call from somebody in your industry. You're curious. Why are they calling me? Well, if you will establish yourself as a peer and come up with a connection to them if you can. I mean, you've already got the built-in connection because you're in the industry. But if you can think of something else, maybe you've seen their logo, you love them, whatever it is, but you are calling as you, and now we're going to do a little something else because you've got their attention. So what do you do with it next? All right, everybody unmute themselves, okay? And here's what I want to know. What is the biggest benefit that you personally get out of being a member of the Greater Fort Worth Builders Association? Who wants to go first? Do we have a volunteer?
I will.
Amy Burns, what is the biggest benefit for you personally?
Relationships.
What do you mean by that?
The relationships that you gain and the friendships that you gain from other associates, other builder members. Relationships can turn into a lot of things. You just have to start with a relationship.
Well said. And would you like to take that relationship to Chili's?
Hey!
You just did. Reach out for me, Amy.
Oh,
I don't see you on camera. You got it?
Yep, I got it.
Okay, excellent. All right. So if you don't want to be called on, turn your camera off, but please leave them on. It'll be so much more fun this way. All right, Tony, tell me, what is the number 1 benefit that you personally get out of being a member of the association?
Got me the career I'm in, but it's the business. I was able to go in and meet members that helped me grow my business, whether that was builders help me with sales or other associates help me learn.
Boom. How's that for a testimonial? That's exactly what Bob and the folks were talking about. All right, Bill, what about you? What is the number 1 benefit to you personally?
Well, personally, it's the many special friendships that I have gained, meaningful friendships.
Yeah. And that's really important and awesome because you've got something in common with them. Mike, what do you think? Biggest benefit to you personally? Suspense.
Somebody's printing on my printer. Hang on.
Oh, no worries. We'll come back to you. Instead, Cody Wilson, biggest benefit to you?
I get to be friends with Bob Medea.
Different for everybody. And that, there it is. Stanton.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's low expectation.
Stanton Andrews, what do you think? For you, what's the number one benefit?
I'm Bob Medea's personal assistant.
Oh, boy. And that's a benefit.
I'll drink some coffee to that.
How about the yaka?
Diane, what about you?
Well, of course, all of these guys here, they're just crazy. But over the years, I've been members for 36 years and in an associate's position. So certainly the business, but also the long relationships, all the wonderful people, and now being part of the exec committee, feeling like I can now give back for all that I've received all these years.
I love it. Mike, you done printing?
I hope so. We'll see. Everybody had my answer, but the relationships, but the learning the insides of how the industry works.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the stuff you learn in the classes and the seminars and all the sessions and stuff. It's all the stuff you learn in between, and it's pretty impressive what our industry has done and accomplished. And learning the how the sausage is made is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the real life stuff. And all the resources that you've got from the other members who you can call when an issue comes up, because chances are somebody else has dealt with it. Heather, you just popped on. Number one benefit for you.
Yeah, one of the top benefits that hasn't been mentioned, I agree with what everyone said, is also the mentorship. I've connected with people that have taught me so much that you couldn't pay for just candid feedback, and people that just have a genuine invested interest in you and your success. So
Makes sense. All right. So all the people with your cameras off, it might be because you're tired. So I think that you need Starbucks. The next person who turns their camera on and tells us what the biggest benefit has been to them is going to Starbucks. Are you awake to turn your camera on? Oh, come on. There! It's mic number 2. Or is that the same mic?
I think it's the same mic. I think Amy turned hers on.
Amy, welcome to Starbucks. How are you today?
But I don't count. I already answered, and I won Chili's. So go to.
Oh, look.
There's Jared. Jared takes it.
Jared to the rescue.
You're on mute, Jared. There he goes.
All right.
If you take me to Chili's, I'll take you to Starbucks.
Oh, nice.
That
I need to know now.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right.
All right, Jared.
Over
Regardless.
the last few years, being a part of the association, I would say just a sense of giving back, right, is big. Back to the community that we love. Building the relationships, we could say that, but building intentional relationships, finding people that you can connect with that love the same industry that you spend so many hours in, and then getting that to that next level where figuring out how we can help each other out, whether you're an associate helping a builder helping a builder, or an associate helping an associate, right?
Exactly.
You find out real quick that we're all in this together and we need each other. So just the community and giving back would be my biggest ones.
Well said. Now, I'm not going to hand this to you because you look like you can catch. I'm going to throw it. You ready?
All right, ready.
You get it?
Out of my mouth.
Got it. Now, all those reasons, thanks for everybody who gave us one. Those don't sound slick and salesy, do they? No. They sound real because you're putting it in your own words and you mean it. Now, let's do a little something else. Let's mix it up. Now, not only are you all members of the Greater Fort Worth Builders Association? You have all gone one step further because you believe in this association so much. You're on the membership committee, or maybe you're in leadership. So this is a chat opportunity. So you can be shy and participate in this one. I want everybody to type in the chat window, what is it about the Builders Association that made you want to go one step further and give back to them? Why did you decide, hey, I think so much of this association, I'm going to get more involved? Amy Burns, the people, Cody, being part of the family. Bob, they give to me, so I will give to them to help fulfill their purpose. That's how strongly Bill believes in it. Jared says, when a community of people give you so much, it's your duty to give back. Joey, we all grow together. Oh, and then we got the brown noser, Stanton. The leaders of the association are awesome. I'm sure we'll have a comment about Bob here shortly. So these are fantastic reasons. And if you're thinking, wow, these would be great to rely on, well, don't worry. I am recording this and I'll be able to get lists to you of all these reasons that you can refer to, because they're in real people words. So it won't sound like you're reading a brochure, though what you've been given by Bob and everybody is phenomenal as far as lists of benefits. So we are going to do another prize, I think. All right. Best Buy. Now, this is for the person who is going to be so excited by this call that you're going to go to Best Buy and you're going to buy a new phone for the membership drive, okay? So everybody, or maybe $5 worth, so you can buy the box that the phone comes in, okay? So everybody lean forward. Ready, position.
All right.
You ready? I'm tossing it. Who caught that? That was Ross. Good job, Ross. Congratulations, you are going to Best Buy. Now, I just asked you to change your body position, right? Well, that actually takes us into the next part of being authentic. Who is tired of wearing one of these things? Well, the good news is you don't have to wear one on the phone, but you do have to remember that on the phone, not only can they not see your nose, your mouth, whether you're smiling, your eyes, they can't see anything. So that means you are using your voice to convey everything that you want to get across. And we don't want to underestimate what a tool the voice is. There's so many different things you can do with it. You can speak slowly. You can pause for emphasis. You can get close to the phone. We call that working the mic in radio. You can get close to the phone and it's a more sincere, I guess, I don't want to say intimate, but I guess I'll say intimate conversation about what the benefits are to you. Different ways you can approach this, and the more you vary that in a conversation, the more interesting you're going to be. Now, this is the really crazy part, though, is your body language matters. So while you are trying to get this across through your voice, never forget that how you say these things is important as what you say. So we're going to try a little experiment here. I'm going to turn off my video and I am going to simulate 2 calls. In one, I will be smiling, and in one, I will be not smiling. I'm gone. Now, your job is to decide if I am smiling in call number 1 or call number 2. Just type number 1 or number 2 into the chat window, okay? Here is call number 1. Hi, this is Joe with Big Builders. How are you today? This is call number 2. Hi, this is Joe with Big Builders. How you doing? Wow, 100%, A+. All right, I'll come back now. Exactly, call number 2, it was obvious. So the smile is so important because they can hear it. In fact, I am glad that you brought that up because I want everybody to practice smiling, and I'm going to get a picture to show how happy you are here. And we'll be able to preserve this for posterity. So everybody, biggest smile. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, other body language. You want to sound confident. You know how effective it is when somebody's really confident when they talk to you. You are all really successful in what you do. We just had a long list of different fields, and all of you are successful or you wouldn't be here. Now, you don't walk around in everyday life hunched over and scared of rejection, not knowing what the other person's going to say. No. You walk around with your shoulders back. You know what works in your industry. You know what doesn't. You can talk the talk. So don't make these calls hunched over with your head down like you're in a cubicle. In fact, and I'm not saying you have to do this, but I have a friend who is a superstar salesperson, and he says he starts all of his cold calls lean back in his chair with his feet on the desk, just as a way of reminding himself that, hey, he's calling to do the other person a favor, to let them know about an opportunity. And that's what you're doing right here. I mean, you have the lists and the lists of the benefits. So take into account your body language. When you use your body appropriately, the voice follows. It's pretty interesting. Don't be afraid to use your hands too. If you're animated with your hands, you are going to sound more animated. Now, if somebody looks at you funny because you're talking on the phone and your hands are going nuts, I just think they're jealous because you're getting more members and more $50 awards than they are. Now, when you really get into this and you start talking about the benefits, you might lean in. You might really connect with them. Well, let me tell you, Joe, this is what it did for me. And it's going to vary the way you speak. Everybody, lean in. Let's practice that. Everybody lean in. Very good. As long as you're here, Stanton, I've got something for you. Best buy. Congratulations. So lean in, change your body language, energy. This is a big one. On the radio, energy is huge because for whatever reason, you lose energy when you talk through a microphone. So you'll go in a studio, you'll hear a disc jockey talking more energetically than you might if you were right next to them. It's still being them, but just very upbeat. Well, the same thing happens on the phone. Just amp up that energy level because remember, you're trying to get everything across through your voice. Now, mindset. This all feeds into the confidence. This is not like you're trying to sell a set of knockoff Ginsu knives. In fact, I would not even think of this as selling because people don't want to be sold. People want to buy, and they want to buy when it makes sense. Well, your job is pretty simple. Just to authentically let them know why it makes sense to be a member and why they actually want to be a member of the Builders Association. Truly, authentically, you're doing them a favor by calling them. And that's the way you think about it and the way you approach it in terms of confidence. Okay, everybody with me so far? Give me a thumbs up. All right, good to go. Giddy up. Now, we've talked a lot about you and how you interact on the phone, but there's somebody else really important on this call, and that is your prospect. In radio, we do tons of research to find out stuff about our audience, like who are they, where do they work, what do they do, and then we tailor all of our music, the programming, to that person. Like I worked in Dallas radio back in the 1990s. So anybody, and this is going to be a stretch, anybody remember a station called Arrow 97.9? You do, Mike. Congratulations on being around that long. I used to work there and I did middays. Now, everything was fine until I heard the most dreaded two words that an air personality can hear. Format change. Because what happens with a format change a lot of times is they blow out all the personalities and they start over. And this was not going to be a little change, not just a little tweak to the music. We were going from classic rock to light adult contemporary. So we're talking about AC/DC to Celine Dion. Well, you talk about being scared to answer the request line the first week after we flipped. Now, quick poll that has nothing to do with anything. I just want to know who I'm talking to. Who here prefers, by a show of hands, turn on your videos if you would, by a show of hands, who would rather listen to Celine Dion than AC/DC? Diane, Bob, nice. All right. Who here would rather listen to AC/DC than Celine Dion? Show of hands. Oh, I knew we had rockers among us. Very nice. Well, going back to the format change, I actually survived the flip. So that was good news. But then the first week, new boss calls me in and says, hey, you're really good at what you do. And I said, thanks. I'm thinking, oh, am I getting a raise? And he said, you're a hard worker. I'm wondering how much. And then he says, I tune in and you are somebody I want to have a beer with. And I'm thinking, I may be able to afford a new horse. But then he says, the problem is I need a DJ who sounds like somebody you want to have a cup of coffee with. I don't want to have a cup of coffee with you. The problem was I was playing different music and talking to a totally different demographic, but I hadn't changed anything about my delivery to better fit the demographic. I was just doing what I did. Same thing. So this is really the second point. You got to talk the prospect's language. And if you're not clear on what I mean, call your IT help desk. Anyone ever call the IT help desk with quotes around it? Have a conversation and then have absolutely no idea what they just said to you? Yeah, they were not speaking your language. So don't be that person at the help desk. Now, in addition to radio, I am also a recovering attorney. And you may wonder who's in the picture beside me. These are my kids, Chuko and Roscoe. And if you think that they look like me, then this would not be the time to participate because I will take your prize back from you. Now, communication is super important in all these contexts. As an attorney, as a disc jockey, with my dog, with my horse, but you better believe that you communicate differently in all of these contexts. And as it applies to you, even though you've already got this built-in great common ground of being in a building-related industry, there are variations within that industry. If you're talking to a veteran CEO of a big building company who's been there for decades, the way you talk to him or her may vary from the way that you talk to somebody who's fresh out of school, hung out her shingle, and is trying to figure it all out. So think about your audience. Good communication, it comes in all kinds of forms, but remember, the best communication is the kind that your prospect is going to understand, the kind that's going to resonate with them. Now, as far as research, your audience, you're ahead of the game. They are in a related industry. I mean, you know how that is. If you're at a party, somebody says they do something in your industry, boom, you've got instant common ground, something to talk about. Well, it's the same thing here. You got a name and a company where they work. And by the time you call, you are going to know what that company does and ideally what that person does for that company. In this day and age, there's no reason to not do a quick search on the computer before you call them. Find out, go to the company website, maybe go to LinkedIn, find out just a little bit more about what they do. And you will be amazed how often you find something helpful. Like when we go back to those benefits, all the ones on your list and the ones that you gave us. Don't just read off the list. Think about, all right, I know this person does X. This might be something that they are really interested in. And don't worry, you're also going to have the lists that you provided to me a little earlier. Now, keep track of it all, because I don't know exactly how many you guys are going to be calling, but they start to all run together after a while. So I would make yourself a little spreadsheet. Blanks for the prospect's name, company, what's the company do, where are they located, because that could be a connection, what's their position in the company, and then think hard about whether there's any common ground or connection you have. Make notes, and of course their contact information too. Then this is important. You want to leave a column for what they said, because it may be, hey, why don't you check back with me next week? Well, that's something that you can forget, but if you have the spreadsheet, make a note on your calendar. Thursday, I'm going to call them back. Maybe you're going to email them. Take down their email address and then calendar that. Now, you may be thinking, time. My gosh, how am I supposed to take time to do all this? You know what this is? Anybody know what this is? Type in the chat. Tell me what this is.
Yeah.
What was that?
It's like a tortilla.
Take a closer look. It's a Lego. Lego my ego. Thank you very much, Travis. That is right. This is an Eggo waffle. Now, you could put butter and syrup on this, or you could think about this as a representation of your time. Now, I'm putting the Eggo waffle away. Prize time. Pizza time, because you don't have time to cook, right? So, Papa John's, type in the chat how many full squares, not the halvesy squares, how many full squares are in an Eggo waffle.
Huh.
No Googling allowed. Research the prospect, not the waffle. Okay, we got 36, 10, 35, 30, 30, 30, 45. Any other guesses? This is your chance to get Papa John's. 10. All right. Well, one square. Huh. You don't like waffles, do you, sir? All right.
How big is that?
This big. This big. All right. The correct answer is 25. And I think we have 3 people who were closest at 30. Fortunately.
I was going to say 20.
Oh, man. But fortunately, I've got 3 different gift cards. So congratulations to Leanne, Stanton, and Travis for saying 30. You were the closest. Now, the reason that we're talking about a waffle is, can you guys, I don't know if the focus is showing you the little squares in there. Can you see it? Sort of, kind of. Okay. Imagine the top part of this. That's what you do in the morning. You get up, you brush your teeth, you have breakfast, hopefully you exercise. Then, I don't know, let's take the middle 10, 15 squares. You're going to be working. You got stuff to do. But then here at the bottom, you got a little flexibility here. And this flexibility could come throughout the day. You got a few squares left over. And really, all that the Fort Worth Builders Association is asking is just take 3 squares from anywhere in here. 3 squares of time, whether it's every day or every week, depending on how this membership drive is set up. Just calendar it. 3 squares out of the entire day. You can do that, right? Thumbs up? Thumbs up. All right. Now, we talked about listening a little bit. I really envy you on these calls, because in radio, no, I don't have any way to listen to them. There's no head nods, there's no smiles. But on these calls, you get to hear instant feedback of what's working and what's not, because they'll tell you what their concern is with joining if they've got one. It could be money, it could be something else. And then Bob sent you that fantastic list of how to overcome those objections. So you can find out what it is that bothers them, and you get to tell how is that prospect reacting to you, and you find out in real time, and then you can gauge whether you're connecting. And it makes it a whole lot easier because you can change your approach if you feel like it's not working. If you aren't sure, ask some open-ended questions. This is a big deal in law. When we are cross-examining somebody, we ask leading questions where we know the answer and we want to make them say it. And the answer is just a yes or a no. That's not what we want to do here. We want to ask open-ended questions that are not answered with a yes or a no. So you guys type in an example of an open-ended question for me. Could be about anything. What day can you meet? Well, that's not a yes or no. That is true. That is true. And then we've got, what did you do on your vacation? That's more what I'm looking for, because that invites them to talk. That's when you get the feel for who they are, what appeals to them, what they like, what they don't, whether this is working. And then maybe after that, you ask a question that follows up on what they said that shows them, hey, this person wasn't just waiting till his or her turn to talk and sell me on this membership. And it could be also that you find out this person sounds really busy and really stressed. We've all been there. So maybe their preferred form of communication, and you learn this by listening, is email. You might say, hey, I know you're busy right now. How about I email you some info on the Greater Fort Worth Builders Association. And I think Kimberly's probably going to provide this video that has testimonials, so you could include that. And then you could say, maybe when you got a couple extra minutes, you just take a look, see what you think, and then is it okay if I follow up with you after you've had a chance to look at it? Oh, okay, Thursday? All right, sounds good. So that way, even though you weren't really getting anywhere in that call, you have got another shot at it that way. And the thing about listening to is the more you listen, the more that you develop genuine empathy for the other person's situation, and the better you're going to understand them. Which brings us to the next point. Are you communicating or are you communicating? Now, listening is obviously a huge part of communicating, not just hurry, 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 finish so I can say this next thing or think about what I'm going to say next, but really listening to try and understand where they're coming from. Listening for reals. Now, let me give you an example of communicating versus communicating on the radio. Anybody ever heard a really self-focused DJ just blathering on and on about him or herself, not talking about anything you care about a bit? You ever change the station because of that? Not from the ranch, I understand. Never from the ranch. But that's a disc jockey that doesn't seem to care about the audience, right? Now, before you look at me with that accusatory look, now, I got to tell you, in this membership drive, if you just throw up the benefits on them and why the association needs them without listening, without connecting, they may do the same thing. Tune out just as fast. And once you lose them, it is really hard to get them back. On the other hand, you ever heard a radio station that makes someone's dream come true? You may have heard it on 106.1 with Kid Craddock and Kids. They do great things every year. Or maybe you've heard, for example, a station giving away $1,000 at Christmas time to a mom who wasn't going to be able to afford anything for the kids. And they put the DJ on the air. DJ's talking to the mom, and you can tell how happy the DJ is for this family. And what really comes through to you is how much that radio station cares. And you got a positive impression of the radio station. Same thing goes here. If you know, for example, that somebody is really concerned, like so many people in your industry, about where are the COVID restrictions going to go next, listen to that. Empathize with them. You could have a conversation that's full of empathy where you might say something, I know, back in March, back when They were determining what was an essential business and what wasn't. I was really scared. I didn't know how this was going to play out. Really worried. How were you feeling then? Yeah, I feel lucky too. But the thing is, it's not actually luck, because the Greater Fort Worth Builders Association actually worked really hard with our judge and other authorities to get us classified as an essential business. Thank goodness our business hadn't been affected like so many. The thing is, we don't know how this is all going to play out. And what the association could really use are numbers. There is strength in numbers. And the best thing is, when you're a member, not only are you helping your own cause as well, you can keep up with everything that's going on legislatively. They are great about keeping us informed. And maybe it's empathizing with the lumber prices you mentioned. Hey, how's that going over there in your business? Yeah, it's rough. Well, actually, the Builders Association is in the process of helping out with that. When we shift that from communication and sounding like we just want their money to communicating about them and their business, that is a super tie-in to the Greater Fort Worth Builders Association, because that is an association, as you all know, that really does care. And nobody is going to get that across better than you. Did we learn anything today?
Mm-hmm.
If you did, type in any little nugget that you may have taken from today. Oh, great open-ended question, by the way, Cody Wilson. What are your thoughts about the current atmosphere in the construction industry? Yeah, that'll get them talking. Work the mic. Eggo waffles have 25 squares. I love it. Communicating. Yeah, you do you. Be authentic. Never try to sound like you're from California for so many reasons. Your voice, your body language counts. Know and consider your audience. Know who you're calling. Do a little research. Listen. Ask questions to find out their needs. And don't just communicate. Communicate. One of my favorite quotes from Theodore Roosevelt is, "They don't care what you know until they know you care." Thank y'all so much for being an absolutely awesome group. And thank you to Kimberly for inviting me to speak today. And if you will, type in your email address over there, chat, same place. I'm going to record this. Then I will email you a list of some of the great benefits that you guys told me today. And I got really good news for you, too, while you're typing in your email addresses. Every single one of you is going to rock this membership drive. You already like AC/DC, so you're halfway there. And since you get $50 for every single member who signs up, the more people you sign up, the less that you even need all these gift cards. So congratulations in advance on one of the most successful, no, not one of, the most successful membership drive ever.